The big story coming in at the moment right now. These pictures, massive protests outside a girls' school in Kozhikode in Kerala by Muslim student bodies after an 11th standard girl was not allowed to come to school wearing hijab last week. The student discontinued her studies from the school after her parents and family members intervened, and the management did not change their stance. The student groups were demanding that the education department should stop the affiliation for the school as the school is taking anti-constitutional steps. So those protests breaking out in Kozhikode in Kerala outside a girls' school there by Muslim student bodies after 11th standard girl was not allowed to come to the school wearing hijab last week. Vivek joining us for more on this. Vivek. All right, we'll go to Vivek in just a bit, but Brinda Adige now joining us. Ma'am, you know, there were protests that have been happening in Karnataka. Now there is this protest, a student being stopped from wearing hijab in Kozhikode.
I know that this has been something that has been raging over South India so much. But why did this Kozhikode school take such a hard stand? This girl is accessing her education, she's wearing a hijab, and the school says, but that's not part of the uniform. There are a lot of things that the school surely does that is not part of the uniform. But everything is accepted. Why this intolerance? Why this kind of bigoted action by the school? Isn't it important that girls from such communities access education so that they will be able to make, probably in 10 years' time, better choices, better decisions? Today they have been given a choice, you wear the hijab and go to school, or don't wear the hijab and don't go to school. And, how can they make choices where the school is making such a big hangama about wearing a piece of cloth to cover your hair? So sad when we talk about children, especially Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. That is our national slogan, and here we have schools that will stop a girl from coming to access that education, to complete that education simply because she wears a scarf on her head. Unacceptable. I hope the schools will get educated and make choices, decisions that affect these girls positively. This is absolutely unacceptable. Of course, they can also wait for the Supreme Court ruling. Till then, this can go on. There is no hard and fast rule that the school must put its foot down in such a bigoted manner. Such intolerance from an educational institution is unacceptable.
Brinda Adige, stay with us. Also, Deepa Ishwar joining us on the phone line. Ma'am, you know, this protest now broken out in Kozhikode after a girl student was stopped from wearing hijab. Now, Brinda Adige says this is a bigoted step and an example of intolerance. Where do you come in on this debate?
Well, I think that, of course, it is unfortunate that, she had to go through what she did. But then looking at it, she is a part of a school. And, it is important that an institution, whether it be a school or a college, they have their own norms in terms of dress code, in terms of uniforms, etc. So it's the duty of the students to ensure that, they abide by the rules of the institute that they are part of. That's one. And second, it's also, we should all abide by what the court says in these matters. And I also feel that, of course, I'm not being insensitive towards her. And if I were in her place, I would feel equally bad. But then, there is no two thoughts on the fact that she has to, as long as you're part of an institution, you go with the rules of the institution and abide by the rules, whether it is dress code, whether it is the other policies of the institution, you need to abide by that. You cannot come in saying that these are my religious beliefs and I'll only come dressed up like this. And when it comes to physical attire, dress, etc., it's very evident. And I don't think in an institution it's really required to show your religion so evidently. It has to be treated equally. So that's my view on this point.
Brinda Adige, there is a point as Ms. Ishwar is raising about rules of the institution. Rules are rules. Institution should have the freedom to make their rules and follow the rules about uniform, about the dress code. There is one argument there. The other argument is, there are girls from several conservative families who are allowed to go to school or allowed to go outside if they wear clothing like that. So if you insist on removing that, then the girls are deprived of their education. So there are two, competing thoughts over here. Where do you come in on that?
First and foremost, we must accept that educational institutions absolutely have to be inclusive. And education institutions across India have been very inclusive. We know that there are very many small girls who cover their head, school girls who cover their head and go belonging to different religions in North India. And schools have allowed it. We wear bindis, we wear bangles, we wear mehndi, name it. And it's all part of our culture. And schools have been very accommodating. It is over the last couple of months that this kind of an intolerance has risen. And taking the excuse that there are institutional rules is wrong, because there were no such institutional rules when you say that this is a uniform. These same schools have also allowed the hijab to be worn and come. And they have accepted women and girls from communities like the Muslim community or any other community. And though we might use words of, it is conservative, agreed, it is regressive, agreed, but does it allow the girls to access education? And if they can access that education, does it help the family, the community, and my nation in course of time? It's a yes to all of it. So what is this piece of cloth that we are harping about and saying, this I call is intolerance, and I also think that this is misogyny as well as bigotry.
All right, Ms. Ishwar, comment on that. Educational institutes have to be inclusive is what Brinda Adige says, that inclusivity is there. The schools and educational institutes have by and large been accommodative, but only in the last few months that we are seeing such kind of intolerance, as Brinda Adige puts it.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the timelines here, but all I'm saying is that, every institution has its own set of norms. And what I meant to say is that there are institutions that actually permits girls to wear hijabs, right? So it's not that we're totally denying their right to education or anything. I think that's a very stretched argument to make the other argument look flawed. But the actual point is that it's not that all institutions are in this particular way and all institutions are forbidding hijab or any that kind of a religious clothing. There are other religions. Now, this brings me back to the same point that we were talking about when it was the Sabrimala issue. So everyone was talking about changing the norms of the Sabrimala temple. Well, I kept saying that there are so many other temples where young women are allowed. So why are you hell-bent on changing the rules of this particular temple? The same way, if an institution has a rule that doesn't match our religious belief, then we are not supposed to be changing the rules of the school or that institution. We should be going for another institution that suits our beliefs, and that will definitely give you, uninterrupted education and also a secure future. So I do not understand why is that option not being considered. That's the point I wanted to add.
All right, Brinda Adige and Deepa Ishwar, thanks very much for joining us with your perspective on this story. Vivek also standing by with us from Thiruvananthapuram. Vivek, these pictures that we are seeing from Kozhikode, tell us what happened. How did these protests break out?
Yes, this protest actually, the issue started from last week onwards when 11th standard girl in the Providence Government Higher Secondary School in Kozhikode, who actually while joining was clearly informed by the school authorities that hijab, is not permitted. The school has a uniform code. Every student has to abide by that. At that point of time, what we understand is that there was no particular resistance from the side of the family members or the parents or the student. But it was, 2 weeks back that the girl approached the management saying that she should be given permission to wear hijab in the school, which the school authorities objected to. Remember, Providence Government Higher Secondary School is an aided Christian management school where there is a set of they do have a set of rules according to which the school can decide on wearing the hijab. Now, the girl had approached the education department. She has also written to Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, but we still don't know what the reply is. But what we understand is that, in Kerala, that every private management, especially minority management school, the school can decide on the dress code. Now, that is exactly what has been followed as far as this school is concerned. However, the school did not, relent on the request that's been made by the student and the parents, and finally the girl had to get buy the TC and join the model school in Kozhikode. Now, following which various student organizations, especially Muslim organizations like the SIO, the MSF, and also the Jamaat-e-Islami, has been protesting against the school management. Today morning, around 150 students came to the school entrance, and the police had actually blocked them. And then they said that the school, the affiliation should for the school should be cancelled by the education department because they are acting against the constitution. Remember, this matter is in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is yet to give a final order on this. Until before that, the question is, why is it that student organizations are taking up this matter in such a manner, especially on the streets, raising protest against the management? Because as of now, the school has a set of rules which is being followed by the students, and now that these organizations are saying that the school affiliation should be changed, should not be given, and the school should be ready to take to give admission to the girl who is wearing hijab, but the school is not allowing to it. The school is not ready to relent to this protest. They are saying that they will follow the rules and regulations that they have been following for the decades. As of now, the matter, the situation has come under normalcy right now. The police has managed to disperse the crowd out there. Yes, this protest has turned violent. 3 policemen were injured, including the SI, Mr. Kailas Nath of Kozhikode. And now what we understand is that more organizations could hold protests. But the matter is, this issue is still in the ambit of the Supreme Court. Back to you.
All right, Vivek, thanks very much for joining us with those details from Thiruvananthapuram. We're getting breaking